Hello everyone, today I'm going to be sharing with you our curriculum choices for kindergarten for this year and also what you should expect your kindergartner to know by the time they leave kindergarten. I like to focus on the core, reading, writing, and math. And if you set a good foundation in the early years, they're going to be able to take off in all content areas. There's so many curriculum out there and there's so many busy work and entertaining curriculums. But will they meet the goals of the primary grades is the question. So let's start with reading. The reading goal for the kindergarten year is to have the child reading by the time they leave kindergarten, reading phonetic sentences and phonetic books. So let's go over what we're using this year. We are continuing to use this Elemental Phonics book. And we started it last year with my 3-year-old because it's so simple and kids love using it. And so I printed it out and I put it in a binder because I find it easier to use that way. And my 3-year-old really loved it. We got to lesson 24. It starts off with learning the letter sounds. And then it goes on to blending the consonants and the vowels. Very simple, very easy lessons, very short. Once they've done all the consonants and vowels, it moves on to word families. And it goes over the most common word families. And I focus on mastery, making sure that they're reading everything in the lesson because the lesson is short, but that they're reading every single word, all of the words. And then it finishes with phonetic sentences. So they're reading their own sentences at the end of the book. So it meets the goals of the kindergarten year. I had a really hard time finding a curriculum like this. And I created the curriculum because I knew that this is a great order to teach children to read it and because I knew it would meet the goals for reading in kindergarten. So if you want a copy, I'll link it below in the description box. Aside from that, we are going to be reading phonetic readers. So he's going to be starting with the set 1 of the Bob's books. And these are phonetic little readers. And so they're just cute little books. And they don't contain any sight words or irregular sounds. They are just decodable books that your children will have an easy time reading if they already know how to read phonetically. And it's just great practice. And I focus on mastery of these books. So I can stay on a book for a week if that's what it takes. 2 weeks if that's what it takes for fluency of the book. Once he's done with set 1, if the year's not over, we will go on to set 2 and we'll work on the mastery of set 2 as well. Along with that, we are using Explode the Code. This is the Get Ready for the Code A, and this is just all about letter sounds, and it's just a fun little workbook for kids. They love doing it. It's one of those things that they love doing, and they're coloring their letters, they're finding their letters, they're doing listening exercises. Just a fun little workbook to do. It's just really short too, so you can totally do 2 of these a year if you wanted to. It's really up to you and how your child progresses through the book. So that is what we're using for reading. So let's move on to writing now. So the goal for the kindergarten year is for the child to be writing phonetic sentences by the time they leave kindergarten. They don't have to spell it the right way. They just have to write phonetic sentences. So we're going to start off very simple with learning how to write letters and numbers, letters, capital and lowercase. And we are going to be working with this morning letters and numbers workbook. It's dry erase. I'm going to go ahead and bring you a little closer to show you inside. So let's get started with the morning letters and numbers workbook. So it has 1 letter and 1 number a day. Starting with the letter A here, the child is going to use some manipulative. Here I'm using some Unifix blocks, but you can use beans or whatever you have at hand. You can use pom-poms. And the child is just going to fill in the letter. This is great for letter recognition, to remembering how the letter looks like, and just a fun activity to work on those fine motor skills. Then the child is going to turn the page and they're going to work on tracing the letter. So they're working on the uppercase letter and the lowercase letter. Then they're working on their number. So this whole page is about the number. So they're going to first trace in the top, then they're going to write it at the bottom, and then they're going to place
the manipulative here, since it's 0, you don't have to do anything. Then they're going to find the number. And the next day, it's the same thing. They have another letter now that they're going to be filling in with the manipulatives. You can switch them up every time that you do it to make it fun. They're going to trace their uppercase and lowercase. They're moving on to their number now. So this is number 1. And then they're going to be placing the number 1, finding the number 1, and doing everything on the page. And it goes all the way up until 20 and up until the letter Z. So it is going to take the child a while to do it. It has some tracing shapes at the end. And this is a great tracing workbook that I have used with all my kindergarteners, and they have loved it. I'll link it below in the description box.
Alright, so the next thing that we're doing along with that is that we are doing this writing notebook, and the child is going to be writing letters, numbers, word families in here. The word families are going to be either through dictation or through copy work. Then the child is going to focus on sentence writing, and it's going to be either through dictation or through copy work. The goal is by the end of the year they should be writing their own phonetic sentences. And I am still working on a little workshop for you guys. I know I've been promising this for a while, but if you sign up to my newsletter, I will let you know when it's done. I am going to show you guys from beginning to end how to teach writing for the primary grades. So that's what we have for writing. I have one more thing that I love doing with my kindergarteners, and that is the Alphabet Interactive Notebook. And this is just a little fun notebook. It's a keepsake. And I'm going to go ahead and bring you a little closer to show you inside.
This is my Alphabet Interactive Notebook from an older child that has completed already in our home. And it goes letter by letter. First, the child cuts and pastes these onto the page. Then they color the letter. Then they draw the picture that corresponds with that letter. Here it says draw an apple, so the child draws an apple. Then they find the letter. Good letter recognition practice. Then they cut and paste these pictures and write the letter A inside. Then they're doing a letter sort next, sorting capital and lowercase. In the next page, they're cutting and pasting an apple, coloring it in, and writing the letter A all around the page. So this is a great book because the child is going to work on those scissor skills. They're going to go letter by letter, coloring the letter, finding the letter, sorting the letters, and by the end they're going to have a very cute keepsake. They're going to work on each letter and their sound.
Alright, so now let's move on to math. So for math, we are using Matthew C, and the goal is for the child to know basic addition and subtraction, a little bit of time. There is learning shapes in here, learning a little bit of money. There's going to be doing some skip counting, and all of it is done with these manipulatives. Now you don't need to have the manipulatives. You can use beans or other manipulatives that you have. But I find that this curriculum meets the needs and the goals for the kindergarten year. There are other curriculums as well out there, but this is the one that we have used because we feel it's a really great introduction to mathematics using these little blocks. Another thing that we're using this year is this logic book. This is from the Critical Thinking Company. We love using these type of workbooks with all our kids, and so you'll find these in my kids' desks. They do them fun, my older kids. And this one is for K through first grade. This is building thinking skills for reading, math, science, and social studies. And it sounds really complicated, but it's just like these pages, and you read it, and the child is answering questions for you, is pointing at things, is figuring things out. You know, logic and critical thinking is something that all kids need to learn, and it's used in all areas in life. And so I really love buying books from the Critical Thinking Company. Another thing that we're doing is reading aloud. So when we go to the library every week, my kindergartner is going to be picking out 5 books, and I'm going to be reading 1 book a day in our one-to-one time with him. And so it's just to build that literacy. He's reading to me, but I'm also reading to him. He's also going to be sitting in our family subjects in our circle time in the morning. and that is where I do my family subjects in the afternoon as well. And he's going to be sitting down listening to science, history, geography subjects. I read aloud to the kids. I made a video on my family subjects in my tribe community. I'm going to go ahead and link it below if you guys want to see what we're using this year. If you guys don't have a circle time routine, you can just pick books to read from the library about science and history. One curriculum writer that I love is Abeka. They have these readers and they're so cute, and they have them for science and history, and you just read a little every day and they're learning about history. And it doesn't have to be you don't have to do workbooks. You know, at this age there's not a lot that they're going to remember, so this is just good to have that content knowledge. They're stored there, but you know, it's not something that's mandatory. But I love reading these little readers from Abeka. They have them for science and for history. And they even have a manners one and their health one. So I'm going to go ahead and link those below for you guys if you want to see what those look like inside. But again, those are just read alouds that you could have for your kids. So they could be learning about science and history and other things like that. And just having a read aloud routine for them where you read a little each day, it's important. Last thing that we have is the shelf. So I do hands-on Montessori inspired activities on a shelf, and we change those out about twice a week. And these are activities that are math, literacy, logic, a lot of the things that kindergartners need to master in kindergarten. And I just do it for fun. It's also optional. You don't have to do it, but I really find that it enhances the experience of learning, and they look forward to learning. They start having a love for learning. Like, learning is fun and exciting. They look forward to seeing what's on the shelf. And you can see some previous videos on what I've done before in the past on our shelves. And so it's really fun for them, and I really recommend that you do have a little activity shelf for your kids when they're young like this. And that is it. That is all we're doing here for our kindergarten year. I'm so excited to get started. If you guys want to know more on our shelves, I'm going to be making more videos on the channel. I'm going to try to film my kindergartner on a day in a life. So just subscribe to the channel, click on the notification box, and follow me along. Also, I'll link all of the resources that I mentioned in this video below if you guys are interested in getting them. And thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next time. Bye-bye.